The news alert hit just after 10 a.m., sending a ripple of anticipation through the city and across the nation. It was a crisp autumn morning in Washington, the kind where the air feels electric with possibility, and the city's iconic avenues were already bustling with activity. On the Supreme Court's marble steps, a crowd of reporters and camera crews gathered, their breath visible in the cool air as they waited for the story to break. But the real shockwave traveled online. Social media feeds exploded with the news. A unanimous decision from all 9 justices, something almost unheard of in recent years. Cody Wilson versus United States, a case that had quietly simmered in legal circles, suddenly took center stage. Legal experts who had been watching closely knew this ruling would reshape the landscape for law enforcement, civil liberties, and gun rights in profound ways. The court's ruling was clear. The government cannot use mere suspicion of legal gun ownership as a pretext to bypass constitutional protections. This was a direct message to law enforcement agencies nationwide. Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the court, emphasized that simply possessing a firearm does not erase your right to privacy, nor does it lower your Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable searches and seizures. The court's message was unmistakable. One constitutional right cannot be used to weaken another. The justices reaffirmed that the Bill of Rights is a shield, not a loophole. Civil liberties groups erupted in celebration, hailing the decision as a landmark victory for privacy and due process. For many, it was a rare moment of hope in the ongoing struggle to protect individual rights. Yet, some law enforcement organizations voiced concern, warning that the ruling could make it harder to act on potential threats and might hinder proactive investigations. The 9-0 vote, however, forced a national conversation about the delicate balance between security and liberty, sparking debates in homes, town halls, and newsrooms across America. In an era marked by deep political division, the Supreme Court's rare unity sent a powerful signal. The principle at stake was not just important, but fundamental to the nation's identity. The decision would not only redefine the boundaries of police power and personal privacy, but also set a precedent that could shape American law and society for generations to come. Cody Wilson, a software engineer and outspoken gun rights advocate living in Austin, Texas, found himself at the center of a legal firestorm after the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, better known as the ATF, received an anonymous vague tip about an alleged, unregistered firearm at his residence. The tip contained no specifics, no evidence, and no corroboration, but it was enough to set a dramatic chain of events in motion. Rather than seeking a search warrant from a judge, the federal agents opted for a controversial tactic known as a knock and talk. They arrived at Wilson's home unannounced, identified themselves as law enforcement, and requested to come inside and look around, hoping for voluntary compliance. Wilson, well versed in his constitutional rights, stood his ground. He refused the agent's entry, clearly asserting his Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable searches and seizures, and calmly explained that they would need a warrant to enter his home. The agents, undeterred, continued to press him. They implied that his refusal to cooperate was suspicious, and lingered on his porch for nearly an hour, creating a tense standoff that left Wilson feeling increasingly uneasy and targeted. Feeling harassed and under pressure, Wilson ultimately ended the conversation and firmly closed his door, leaving the agents outside with no evidence and no entry. Not long after, Wilson took legal action. He filed a lawsuit, arguing that the ATF's actions amounted to an illegal search and seizure, violating his constitutional rights and setting a dangerous precedent for law-abiding citizens. His legal team contended that the agents had used the knock and talk as a coercive tool to sidestep the warrant requirement, targeting Wilson not because of credible evidence, but simply because he was a known gun owner and activist. The government's entire case rested on a single, uncorroborated tip, one that could have been made by anyone, for any reason, and without any proof. The case, Cody Wilson versus United States, began its journey through the federal courts, quickly drawing national attention and raising urgent questions about the limits of police power, the rights of gun owners, and the future of privacy in America. As the legal battle escalated, it became clear that the outcome would have far-reaching implications, eventually making its way to the nation's highest court, the Supreme Court of the United States. At its core, the case asked a fundamental question: can the government use mere gun ownership as a shortcut to bypass the constitutional protections guaranteed to every American? The answer, whatever it would be, promised to have national consequences, reshaping the relationship between citizens and the state and setting a precedent for generations to come. The Fourth Amendment stands as a crucial safeguard in the Bill of Rights, protecting Americans from unreasonable searches and seizures by the government. It was written in response to colonial abuses, ensuring that citizens would not be subject to arbitrary invasions of privacy. The amendment requires that before searching your home or seizing your property, the government must obtain a warrant. This warrant must be supported by probable cause and specifically describe the place to be searched and the items to be seized. In Wilson's case, the central question was whether the ATF's actions, lingering on his porch and pressuring him after he refused entry, crossed the line into an unreasonable search under the Fourth Amendment. The government argued that their knock-and-talk approach was voluntary, claiming that simply staying on the porch did not violate Wilson's constitutional rights. But Wilson's legal team countered, arguing that the agent's conduct was intimidating and coercive, effectively turning his front porch into a place of pressure and fear rather than a voluntary encounter. The appellate court ultimately agreed with Wilson, finding that the agent's persistent behavior could reasonably be seen as an unreasonable search, violating the Fourth Amendment's protections. The context was critical: armed federal officers acting on a vague tip and a prolonged, insistent presence at Wilson's doorstep all contributed to the sense of coercion. The Supreme Court agreed to hear the case, aiming to clarify when a knock and talk crosses the constitutional line and becomes an unreasonable directives. At stake was not just Wilson's privacy, but the privacy rights of all Americans, the right to feel secure in one's own home. The case would define the limits of government power at your doorstep, and determine how far law enforcement can go without a warrant. The outcome would set a new national standard for police conduct and the protection of individual rights. The stage was set for a landmark decision that would shape the future of the Fourth Amendment for generations to come. Though centered on the Fourth Amendment, the case was shaped by the Second. Wilson's lawyers argued he was targeted for being a lawful gun owner, creating a dangerous precedent: fewer rights for gun owners. If suspicion of legal gun ownership justifies warrantless investigations, it creates a two-tiered system of justice. Civil liberties groups warned this could chill the exercise of Second Amendment rights. The government insisted it was investigating a potential crime, not legal gun ownership. But privacy advocates saw the risk: anonymous tips could be used to harass law-abiding citizens. The case united gun rights and privacy groups, recognizing that weakening rights for one group threatens everyone. The Supreme Court would decide if constitutional rights are truly indivisible. The Supreme Court's decision drew on the ancient principle: your home is your castle. The Fourth Amendment enshrines this, making a warrant the gatekeeper to your privacy. Imagine armed agents at your door, demanding entry based on a rumor, refusing to leave when denied. Wilson argued this was a siege, not a conversation. The government claimed no rules were broken since they never entered. But the court saw the agent's refusal to leave as intimidation, turning the porch into a place of confrontation. The ruling: the government must get a warrant before conducting an intimidating investigation at your door. Anonymous rumors aren't enough to justify a siege. The protection of the home is about more than physical entry. It's about stopping government coercion at your doorstep. This principle applies to all, no matter the rumor or the right at stake. The Supreme Court's unanimous opinion was clear: exercising one constitutional right does not diminish another. Chief Justice Roberts wrote that the core of the Fourth Amendment is the right to be free from unreasonable government intrusion at home. The court found the ATF's conduct crossed the line from a voluntary encounter to unconstitutional coercion. Public safety concerns don't override constitutional boundaries. An anonymous tip isn't a license to bypass the warrant requirement, especially when another right is involved. The ruling doesn't ban knock-and-talks, but sets a boundary. Once consent is denied, officers must leave. Any attempt to intimidate or linger becomes unconstitutional. The rare 9-0 consensus amplified the message: privacy, gun rights, and police power must be balanced. Justice Sotomayor stressed the importance for all communities, especially those historically subject to aggressive policing. The decision is a definitive statement for the 21st century. The Wilson ruling forces major changes in police training and tactics. Knock and talks aren't banned, but strict limits now apply. officers must respect a resident's denial of consent. Once told no, they must leave immediately. Lingering or pressuring is now a clear constitutional violation. This shift will likely increase internal investigations and lawsuits if officers cross the line. Some police worry it will make investigations harder, but the court focused on protecting homes from speculative intrusions, not urgent threats. Law enforcement must now build real probable cause before seeking entry. The ruling prioritizes privacy over convenience, demanding more rigorous investigative work. The unanimous decision gives citizens a powerful tool to defend their rights. The message, the Constitution, not expedience, sets the rules. For gun owners, the Supreme Court's decision is a landmark shield. The ruling affirms that owning a gun doesn't make you suspicious or strip away your Fourth Amendment rights. Now, refusing a warrantless search cannot be used as evidence against you. Gun owners can confidently say, "I do not consent to a search. Please leave unless you have a warrant." The decision deters fishing expeditions based on vague tips, protecting innocent people from harassment. It ensures investigations target real crime, not legal gun ownership. The ruling normalizes gun ownership as a protected right, not a red flag. By uniting the court, the decision reframes the debate as one about privacy and due process for all. All constitutional rights, the court made clear, must be protected equally. The most historic aspect of Wilson v. United States is the court's rare unanimity. All 9 justices across the ideological spectrum stood together to protect the sanctity of the home. The ruling sends a powerful message. No constitutional right can be traded for another. The government cannot create exceptions for gun owners, speakers, or religious minorities. The decision sets a bright line for future cases, but new questions will arise about technology, surveillance, and the boundaries of police power. The judiciary's role as guardian of the Bill of Rights is reaffirmed. The decision challenges lawmakers and citizens to see rights as interconnected, not negotiable. The road ahead will be shaped by this rare and unifying moment from the nation's highest court.